Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this CTFO Zoom event. My name is Adam Levy from Canton, Connecticut. Glad you could join us for Tuesday Night Live. We do it every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time live. And we've got a real special guest that's joining us tonight. Dr. Fred Templeman will be here answering your questions and has some great information to share. Before we get going, though, we've got a great testimony that I read today, and I asked if she could join us, and that would be Bonnie. Bonnie Gray, are you out there?
I'm here. I'm here. Hello, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. Um, I'm kind of that token person that hi, Dr. Templeman. It's so nice to see you. And Adam, thanks a lot for having me here. I really appreciate it. You kind of pushed me. Um, so it's nice to be here. And I know Dr. Templeman has talked about a patient with trigeminal neuralgia quite a few times. I've seen him now. And I'm that person, that patient that he's been talking about. And I just want to tell you my story and how much better I'm doing. So I have suffered with severe trigeminal neuralgia and bilateral, which means both sides of my face, for 16 years, and plus debilitating fibromyalgia for 36 years. TN
Why
causes, if you don't know
interrupt for
what it is,
a second?
I don't know how that happened. Sorry.
Fred's trying to talk. Fred, you're muted.
Can you unmute him? Dr. Templeman, you're muted.
There we go. Okay, trigeminal neuralgia is such an awful, awful disease that people commit suicide when medicine, which is very inept at handling it, can't fix it. That's how bad it is. We're not talking about something like hiccups. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. So I'm not sure when I got muted or whatever, but basically I've had it for bilateral trigeminal neuralgia for 16 years, plus fibromyalgia for 36 years. So TN causes excruciating electric shocks in people's face. And for my case, both of my eyes, my cheek, and the back of my head, which is also called occipital neuralgia. It's known, as Dr. Templeman said, as the suicide disease because I have known more people than I care to count who just couldn't take the pain. Fibromyalgia feels like you've been run over by a truck every single day. As you can imagine, over the years, I've been prescribed numerous meds. I've been on such high doses of medication. I've tried everything out there. Nothing helped me. I was loopy, disoriented. I couldn't work anymore. I had to go on disability. I couldn't drive, could barely walk, couldn't talk, had a very short-term memory. So I had a left side MVD surgery, which is brain surgery, back in 2010, which really didn't help the whole bit. I still found shocks. And my neurosurgeon told me that I also have a blood vessel. What it is a blood vessel rubs against the nerve and causes the muscle to wear off. And then so you're just getting like electric shocks. Picture yourself putting your finger in a light socket, and that's basically what I'm getting through my eyes and my face. So I was told I was going to have a second surgery. Fast forward to 11 months ago now, when I started this amazing product. I have had remarkable pain relief. I pounded my system with it. I didn't stick with the 4 myths a day because I wanted to get rid of my pain. So I was doing probably 5 and 6 myths 4 times a day for the first month. In that first month, I only had one very small shock, which was incredible. Since then, my TN shocks have subsided dramatically. I can say I've only had maybe 3 or 4 mild shocks in 11 months. Nothing else has done that for me. I used to get 5 or 6 excruciating shocks that would set me on the floor and I'd be screaming in tears, and it was tough. So 2 months ago, I started also using Glutamist. Well, I've been using glutathione for the last 4 years, and I'm a huge advocate of glutathione and all of the health benefits, not just for your skin, but it does help. I'm going to be 67, and I don't think that I look 67. And I think glutathione has a lot to do with that. I'm in Mexico, so it took me a while to get that one, but it's been worth waiting for. So these products not only gave me immense pain relief, but they also transformed my life. I'm free from pain right now, from the debilitating pain that I've had. I used to take 20 pills a day. Now I'm taking one. I even started driving again after 16 years. So my hubby is relieved because now he doesn't have to be my chauffeur, and I get my life back. And I'm so grateful to Stu Finger and CTFO and to Dr. Templeman, who is supporting me through my Xanthomist health journey. Thank you so much, Dr. Templeman. And now I'm just living with gratitude and joy. So thank you, CTFO.
Wow, that is a great, great testimony, Bonnie. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what an amazing result that you've gotten in such a short period of time, something you've suffered with for
Incredible.
so many years. It's just absolutely incredible. Well, I want to introduce Dr. Fred Templeman, who's an MD, is a primary care physician, board certified in both the United States and Canada, and he's got over 20 years of clinical experience. He's a medical director of phytoceutical research, and he's really a sought after speaker and author on nutrition and the healing properties of the mangosteen fruit. But most recently, Dr. Fred has become a consultant and a member of the CTFO Medical Advisory Board, which we're so excited to have him as part of our team. Welcome, Dr. Fred Templeman, to the Zoom.
Glad to be here. This is wonderful.
How about that testimony, Dr. T?
Well, I'll tell you, it was one of the first ones I heard, and it remains the one that sticks the clearest in my memory, because I did have one patient who eventually suicided when we were, as a medical doctor, we weren't able to do anything at all to help that terrible, terrible pain.
Well, we're so glad Bonnie's getting great results, and we're excited to hear some of your wisdom. What was it about the mangosteen that intrigued you all those years ago? It's been over 20 years now.
Well, I almost killed somebody. Most doctors don't know it, but they probably kill several people with the drugs they use. I was able to see this patient because when he came back from the psychiatrist, from a hospitalization under psychiatrists in a different town, he didn't look very good to me. And so I kept him in the hospital overnight. And he arrested the next morning. He was 28 years of age. And if he had been at home, there would have been nothing found on autopsy to at all indicate why he died. But he would have died from a drug overdose, not in the same sense that we think of drug overdoses today, but he would have had a heart arrhythmia that killed him immediately, and there would have been no trace of it. And I think, unfortunately, the third leading cause of death in the United States is iatrogenically caused problems, meaning things that drug interactions, doctor mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. So with the oath that we take first to do no harm, I began that morning to seriously wonder whether I had to throw away my prescription pad in order to keep the oath. I still use and prescribe prescription drugs. I believe there is a place for them. I am not a fan of the people that make them. I think they are as close to criminals as you can get, and I don't trust them. But nonetheless, that is where we live. And I began to use alternatives at that time in my practice and became one of the first, what they used to call us, holistic doctors, way back when. And I had the opportunity, because I was attuned to using things from nature, the things that we derive from plants, for example, to, I'm just telling, machine is telling me that I need more sugar. So the stuff that we were doing, which was very satisfying to me because I felt it was as good as what we were doing with drugs, we came up with a company that said to myself and my partner, who was a professor at the University of Utah, Could you please tell us which one of these 3 plants that we're contemplating making a product from would be the likely one that would succeed? And we looked at them, and there was no question the mangosteen was the one, but there was just a terrible taste barrier to it. And I went to Thailand, took a look at the history of the mangosteen and the tremendous uses that it had been put to over centuries by not hundreds, but by millions of people. And that's the best proof that something is, 1, safe, and 2, it works. And so I said, use that one. And that's what they did. They made a drink out of it. And I eventually replaced 17 medications that I prescribed on a regular basis with this single juice, which when it first came out didn't have a name, and we just called it jungle juice. So I have been convinced over the time and looked at the scientific research that has come in on the mangosteen, and I consider it to be one of the 2 most important botanical products brought by supplementation into the realm of human health. The other one would be the use of CBD and things from cannabis. So that's where I stand on that. I still have seen nothing in all the years that I've watched it used that would make me want to say anything even cautionary about it. It's incredible. Al, I can't hear you.
It's Adam. Sorry about that. I had the mute on. So, Dr. T, mangosteen is a nutrient, from what I understand, is not very bioavailable in most of the forms that people get it in. And yet people have gotten some great results. But how excited were you to learn about xanthomists with the enhanced double encapsulated liposomal nano delivery system when you first heard about this?
Well, I analyzed the mangosteen many years ago, but did not have the skill or anyone around me who had the marketing ability, the desire, or the money to put it out on the market. And so when I saw this courageous little company that was taking this tremendous risk by going after the mangosteen and using the most current technology to get it delivered to the body in ways that had never been delivered to the body before, I was enthusiastic about the prospects for the future. And it's played out exactly the way I anticipated.
Well, we're excited to have you on this team here, and I know that you've been helping a lot of people and coaching them. You've got a lot of experience. You've seen a lot of things with the mangosteen. What do you think is the best way to take Xanthomist? Is there a detox period or a loading phase? And what are some of the results that people first notice?
Well, the results will be different because unlike drugs, which go into the body and have a very narrow pathway about what they're supposed to do, and ideally, like a silver bullet, will do one thing and nothing else, and we haven't found very many of those. The mangosteen is like food, and the body knows where the problems are in each body, and it's going to take those nutrients, which is really what they are, because it is a food, and they're going to direct them to the place where they are needed most. Now, that may be for repair, that may be for intervention in the germ theory. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it is definitely going to be the body's decision. And therefore, when one body decides to use it in one body's organ system and another one uses it in a different organ system, you get multiple benefits, but the body decides where it goes and what people experience.
Awesome. With the recent launch of Glutamist,
Right.
how do you see the benefits of these 2 products working synergistically together?
Could you throw up the first slide for me, Al? Or sorry, I called you Al again.
That's okay. Al's here, but I will throw up the slide. Just don't call me late for dinner. That's all. Okay, here we go. All right, you're up.
This is a slide that most people may not be able to see if they're looking on a small machine, but Basically, what it shows is that the mangosteen is doing something similar to the glutamist, but doing it in a different set of compartments in the body than the glutamist. Now, there are a large number of places in the body where we don't have cells. Now, that sounds strange when we've got 30 trillion of them, but the fact is that we have lymph, plasma, interstitial fluid, and a lot of transcellular fluids, either CSF, meaning central spinal fluid, synovial fluid, peritoneal fluid, pericardial fluid, pleural fluid, aqueous and vitreous humors in the eye. So there are lots of places that don't have cells, but they have the same need for the protection against free radicals that the rest of the body where there are cells requires. And so the mangosteen principally services those areas that are acellular, but it does have some application within cells as well. It's an oversimplification. But the glutathione is the absolute master antioxidant of the body, and it is intracellular. There's only one organ in the body that produces it in enough of a supply to actually release some into the blood, and that is the liver. Every other organ produces it in every cell in quantities that are required to keep the cell working, because the mitochondria, and we can put up the next slide if you wouldn't mind. No, that's how it, let's try another one. Let's see if we can get the one that looks like a cell. No,
We didn't get that slide. There was only
Oh,
four. There was only four, but
okay, and the mistake is mine. But the mitochondria are organelles within the cells. Every cell, there are hundreds and thousands of mitochondria, and their purpose is to take the food that we eat, and by putting it through the Krebs citric acid cycle and the electron transport flow, they are going to release the energy from food so that it can be used to drive everything in the body that requires energy. So from Eugene or Bolt, or I forgot his first name, but from some sprinter and his legs all the way down to somebody who may be lying in bed having a dream. The dream is using up energy, and that is the same kind of energy. So it's ATP produced, but unfortunately, there's something called the oxygen paradox, and that is that oxygen is absolutely essential for life. You can't live without it. But if you get too much of it in the wrong places, then it can kill you. And so the oxygen that is produced from the production of energy in the body gave rise to the first theory of anti-aging with 1956, when a guy called Denham Oldham said, look, the reason we get old is because when we make energy, there are free radicals that are produced with the oxygen that is the byproduct of making the energy. And that is destructive to the integrity of the cells all around it. And so we gradually die when the free radical damage done is sufficient to make our organs not work properly any longer. Now, that was the very first theory. Now we've got over 20 theories of aging, and each one of them brings a great deal of knowledge to this question of aging, which is something that is personal to each person. But the interesting thing about the original theory is that it's still the only theory that is attached to something that you can do to change it. Unfortunately, all of the theories like the telomere theory or the damage theory, and there are, like I say, over 20 theories, they all bring a great deal of knowledge, but they bring very little practical interventional knowledge so that you can do something about it. Whereas we know how to counter free radicals. And we do it largely by enhancing the body's internal antioxidant system, which is represented primarily by glutathione, but also by bringing in what are called exogenous antioxidants from outside, like the mangosteen, which are capable of helping the body to keep these free radicals and the damage that they do under control. And I think the most important thing to understand for someone is that the damage of free radicals is present even in health. So even if you're healthy, you've got a problem with it. Therefore, you need to help bolster the body's defenses against it, even if you got nothing wrong. But look at the conditions which are associated with low glutathione. Matter of fact, there's a couple of slides. There's a whole set there, and there's another set. Now, I was not involved in making these slides because I would have said this. Try, please, to give me one single disease state whatsoever, even something like sickle cell anemia, which is entirely the result of a mutation and is therefore genetic or somatic, and even absolute genetic diseases are going to produce free radicals in excess of what the body can probably handle on a normal basis, and therefore you get what is called redox imbalance. Now, redox means that if you are in an ideal situation, you're producing or you have present enough of the antioxidants, whatever they may be, to pick up all of the free radicals so that they're not out causing the tremendous damage that they do. And when you have an imbalance, and that happens, like I say, it could be just from running and doing something quite normal, exercising. If you're a normal person, you don't have to have a disease. But if you have any disease process whatsoever, that balance is going to be upset in the parts of the body that are affected by the disease. And you need to be doing something active and effective. And we know that so many of the theories of aging really have a lot of good theoretical benefit, but no active and effective way of intervening for the ordinary man. Now, if you're a very rich person, you can intervene in some way in those other areas. But if you're just an ordinary person, you do not have the means of doing that except through increasing the amount of antioxidants that are present in your body in the places where they are required to redress this negative redox balance, which is responsible for so many of the symptoms and the pathology of the diseases that are out there in the world. And these two are the bookends, if you want to look at them that way, of the redox library, because they are both the exogenous, the best exogenous antioxidant. There's more than 80 antioxidants that are present in the mangosteen just by itself. But 80 antioxidants there in large quantities being brought into the body in a bioavailable manner in this product that we have, really quite remarkable. And then the natural stimulus to the body's ability to be able to make and store sufficient glutathione to protect all of the organelles inside the body, inside the cells rather, from the exhaust that is produced by the body as it burns food and makes free radicals as the exhaust. So it's incredible what they do. And do they do it in a way that is measurable? Absolutely. Sometimes people can feel that measurement because if they have a disease or a condition, then some of the symptoms for the disease of the condition may well be ameliorated by taking these products in order to make that redox balance, set it back where it belongs. But there may be plenty of people who do not feel that. Does not mean it's not working. I draw your attention to the idea of London at the Blitz. London was bombed by the Germans until literally there weren't two stones on top of each other in that city. And when they decided to, when the war was over, there was no more bombing or destruction going on. It took literally years for them to clean up the mess. And they cleaned up the mess, and finally they started building again. Well, lots of us, unfortunately, our bodies are a mess. We have been doing things with our lifestyles that just haven't been healthy. We've been eating things that are unhealthy. We have been avoiding things that we should be doing. And we have a lot of stuff that needs to be cleared away before we're likely going to feel the effect. But it's always beneficial. By definition, it is beneficial. There isn't a case in which it could not be beneficial. So I guess pretty much that's the important thing that I would have to say about these two products, which I consider to be, as I said, the bookends of the antioxidant tool, which happens to be the strongest tool that supplementation has brought to us to be able to affect health in human beings.
Thank you, Dr. T. We sat next to each other at the Glutamist launch in Las Vegas less than 2 months ago, and I recall you were a little under the weather. And I know that you got some great results with just your very first experience with Glutamist. Can you tell us what you've noticed since adding Glutamist to your, I'm sure, already somewhat healthy routine?
Well, I wanted to please folks who asked me to come to the convention, but I was recovering from double pneumonia, and I really should not have been there. I went because I promised David that I would go. But in the morning presentation that we had, I was like a zombie sitting in the front row. And when I was asked to go up, it didn't help that we only had a 4-foot stage and I was standing in the middle of my biggest slide. But the end result was that I couldn't even give my presentation. I had to tell a story. And it was notably unimpressive. It was not what people were used to seeing from me. And right after that, they gave us the first glutathione. And I had never had it before. And I had my mangosteen mist with me. So I went back to my chair and I just blasted myself with 20 shots of both of them. And then I excused myself to go upstairs and sleep because I did not feel like eating lunch. Well, Collie Button, no, it wasn't Collie, it was Sandy. Sandy Cohen called me on the phone when I was upstairs lying in my bed and actually asleep and said, "Hey, you're supposed to be down here. There's an empty chair on the stage and you're supposed to be in it with Dr. Zinni answering questions." So I rushed downstairs and I had been feeling like death warmed over. And while I had had complaints from my patients many times about what they call brain fog, I had never experienced it to the degree that I was experiencing it that day. Literally, I could not put one thought in front of the other. I was absolutely wiped away. Well, when I opened my eyes after a 45-minute nap and having juiced myself up, if you wish, on these two sprays, I felt like I could have gone square dancing. Matter of fact, they had the dance the night before, and I was immediately regretting the night before I could hardly stand that they didn't have a dance that night because I felt better than I had ever felt in 10 weeks. And I was able to answer some questions. And I think those who saw me perform in the morning must have wondered the bad judgment that CTFO had to put me on board. And in the afternoon, I think I made up for it because I was able to function absolutely completely normally. And in the 20 years that I had used natural products, that was the very fastest effect that I had ever heard. And I kept the door of my room closed. I didn't want the angels coming in and anointing me. It would make it for folks to believe. But it was like I got anointed with something. And I was able to do things that I didn't think that I could do. And they turned out wonderfully well. And I ran around looking for the cameraman to be able to give him my testimonial. And that was the first testimonial I've ever really given for myself personally. But it was incredible. And since then, for example, I'm getting old. And when you get old, things fall off, stuff breaks. your mind doesn't work as well and your body doesn't work as well. And I used to repair boats. I used to love to buy a nice boat with a lot of potential that had been badly treated, and then spend maybe 70, 80, 90 hours repairing it and selling it and watching it go out, on the water and do wonderful things that boats do. Well, I hadn't been able to work for 2 hours in a row for 3 years. And I used to work for hours and hours at a time on my projects. I'm now doing that again. I'm doing it, and I'm older, and I've been through COVID, and my foot got run over by a truck. All kinds of things have happened to me, and I am feeling great. And I don't want to be taken as if I'm saying that it is just this, because I've changed a number of other things in my life. But I think it is principally these two things, which I now use absolutely regularly, made a tremendous difference in my energy and my well-being.
Dr. T, thanks for sharing that. As we wrap up here, again, I want to say it's really incredible to have you part of CTFO. And as a member of the Medical Advisory Board, what are you most excited about for the future of CTFO and the possible products that we might offer?
Well, it's wonderful to know that we have no bad people at the helm in this company. I've been in a number of companies where there were scoundrels running the company, and that boded ill. Well, we have good people running this company, and we have courageous people running this company because they took a tremendous risk on this. But I would say this about CFTO. The constant that I see that is most impressing to me is that they're always changing. They are not dyed in the wool ideas that, guys that say, we got it, we've solved the world's problems, and we're not going to try and improve anything. They're constantly improving. The single constant may be that they're always improving. So does that bode well? Absolutely. There's still a lot of things out that are great products that could be fixed by being made the way that they are choosing to make their products nowadays. And there could be dozens of other things that they could bring with this that would really be exciting. So I think you've got the right combination of products and people. And out in the field, let me tell you that I've worked for a number of companies, and I've been involved in the field generally because that's where I feel most comfortable. I have never seen better collection of skill than what we have around here. You have men and women who are remarkable, absolutely remarkable marketers, and who do this better than any group of people I have ever seen. So is it a bright future? Absolutely, in my opinion.
Well, Dr. Fred, thank you again for those kind words. And I think you are right. We certainly have the most incredible leadership at the top of this company. And thank you for noticing that. It's one of the reasons why certainly I've planted my flag here. And I know there's a lot of great leaders that are here for the long haul and are going to get to their goals because of the amazing products that people like yourself and of course, David D'Arcangelo and others at the helm are putting together for us all. Just want to make note for everybody that coming up at 9 p.m. tonight at ctfowebinar.com, 100K Ted Wilson will be doing that presentation. Again, that's 9 p.m. Eastern at ctfowebinar.com. On Thursday, there'll be a special training with Stu Finger on the Ready, Set, Go system. That is Thursday night, 9 p.m., also at ctfowebinar.com. And heads up for the big Ready, Set, Go roadshow that's happening in Western Canada. You do not want to miss this. If you're anywhere within driving distance or you have people that are anywhere within driving distance of this event, April 20th through the 27th, it is a tour through Canada, and all the details you can find on the different flyers that are available on the CTFO pages on Facebook. You can find them on the community pages, and everybody on the team pages have them posted. So not real hard to find those. April 20th to 27th. Well, everybody, as always, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Dr. Fred, you were awesome. Appreciate you coming and joining us on Tuesday Night Live. We do it every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Adam Levy signing off. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Adam. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Hey, cowboy.